What's good, y'all? You dub back here again, here in 2019. Let's get it. Well, what's left of it, anyways. First and foremost, y'all see me in the jacket. Come on, man. It's probably cool out where you're at, unless maybe you're in the south. But then different folks were telling me that's a bit frigid down south as well. So that's that. We just dealing with it earlier. It's time of year or later, however you want to perceive it. Right, going into wintertime. And this video was supposed to come out like a week or so ago. Brother was working and tired. Long week of work. Like if you see my other video that I recorded, I believe the day prior to when I'm recording this one, the adult life, man. Y'all know, a lot of y'all know the struggle. Unless you were some of the younger, if you're a younger viewer in this video, I hope y'all don't have to deal with some of the mess that some of us have to deal with. Now, with all that being said, y'all know what we're here for. We're here for Star Wars. And I believe, trying to remember, I believe it was Stupendous Wave did a video regarding no, it wasn't Stupendous Wave, it was Eckhart's Ladder, excuse me. Eckhart's Ladder. Stupendous Wave was some other stuff. I'm thinking of the video he dropped with Oda and George Lucas's foolishness. Anyways, it was Eckhart's Ladder, and his complaint and his, oh my gosh, the comment section was toxic. So there was some people that was talking some sense in the comment section, but a lot of people weren't talking sense. So you have a lot of Legends fanboys, right? I have nothing wrong with the expanded universe. I think the EU, well, I do have issues with it, but comprehensively, I don't have anything wrong with it. But there was a lot of foolishness up in there. I'm not even the most expert, but come on, boy. Anything, that's my canon. Sure, you can have that convoluted nonsense if you want to. Some stuff in canon makes a hell of a lot more sense. The lightsabers, I like that more than synthetic Sith crystals. Get that shit out of here. Way more whack than what we got in canon. There's a number of other elements you can get into. The stuff I like from the Disney canon, different timeline, whatever your perception of it is, than the Legends continuity. Anyways, they were talking about how it doesn't make any sense for the Resistance, for the New Republic to form and to win over versus the Empire compared to the Legends continuity. And I'm sitting here going, y'all don't understand politics. You don't understand Imperial history. You don't understand ancient history. Okay? You clearly don't understand Star Wars history. So, for one, if we're going to talk about it doesn't make sense, how did the rebels win? You went up against a military force. Now, I can make an argument for why the rebels won, but it doesn't make the most sense. That's like saying like Spartacus should have won, and this is before they were the Roman Empire. Spartacus, the ancient Roman gladiator, I was about to say Greek, ancient Roman gladiator, and his group of rebels won against the Roman Republic. Doesn't make sense, does it? And I'm not even using the empire. I'm talking the Roman Republic. It doesn't make sense, does it? Much hardened, but you can talk about the income, and I'll explain as to why the rebels won. This notion that, oh, wait, the warlord era, that's fine. That's another explanation of what could have happened. So pretty much you can have potential what ifs. We talk about potential what ifs on the fall of an empire. You have a good at least 5 what ifs. You have it to where a quickly new another empire comes and takes over, right? Let's say somehow the Yuzon Vong, which is in Legends continuity, and people bring it up. Let's say the Yuzon Vong came and took over. That's one possibility. An invading force, foreign power comes and takes over. Another one is like they mentioned the warlord state, which was in Legends continuity. Another one is exactly what would happen in the Disney canon, which a new power in the central core found it. It wasn't the entire galaxy. It was a new power in the central core, and there were other factions that still. To say that's not the case is bullshit because you have the First Order, right? You have the fact that the resistance is whack right now. They got wrecked in the Last Jedi. They didn't win. Everybody's mentioning like they have one ship worth of people left. Okay. Let's see, 2 more options. The fact of the empire resurges. It sustains itself. That's another potential of the seeming fall, and it rebirths and you get a new emperor, or a pseudo emperor. Or I don't know, the whole system collapses and you have a galactic civil war. Way worse than anything you saw in the Clone Wars. So that's always the legitimate possibility. When you have an entire empire fall, you have potential death and destruction everywhere. You have a vacuum of power. People got to understand Machiavelli's The Prince. Okay, go back, listen to it on an audio book, or read it. It's very insightful. Understand Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Okay, now I'm going to trace this back like I do chronologically. Let's go back to how all of this led up. And what is that? Before the era of the Phantom Menace, because it all snowballed from there. Now, the Old Republic lasted for how long? The Jedi Order was in power for how long? Exactly, at least 1,000 years. And it fell within a few years. Think about that. An institution that was in power for a millennium. A millennium. This literally what George Lucas, whether he intended to or not, what you have in this situation is the Republic mirrors the Roman Republic. And the Galactic Empire under Emperor Palpatine slash Darth Sidious mirrors the Roman Empire. Okay? And understand that's important to recognize because this is what kind of ish happened. In the case of the Roman Empire, you had Julius Caesar, declare himself dictator after the triumvirate. You can go look up Cassius and Brutus and such and all that good stuff. And then there was other stuff that happened after Caesar was assassinated, which is, pretty much played out in the uh, Greek, the tragedy by William Shakespeare known as Julius Caesar. Love that play, by the way. Um, and then you go into, I believe it was the era of the Four, and then eventually Emperor Augustus Octavius, who was the adopted nephew, if I'm not mistaken, of Caesar. So it became Caesar's, and it went on from there. Now, obviously, Star Wars: The Galactic Empire was under one leader, but we'll go with that one ruler. But we'll understand Roman parallel. So you had the Roman Republic, and in this case, the Old Republic in Star Wars, a millennium. It fell once again in a few years. So before Phantom Menace, you had I can never Darth Tyber. I can never remember homeboy's name. The Sensei, the Sith Lord to Darth Plagueis. Okay, you had him. Then you had Darth Plagueis setting the wheels in motion. All right, in the underground undercurrents, as with the ruler to the Banite system of the Sith Order. Okay, and then you have the wheels turning. Then you bring in Palpatine. Okay, who eventually became Darth Sidious. And for 30 years, Palpatine rose through the ranks, used the Senate to gain power, and was a Dark Lord the entire time. Now, you have Anakin, now have the whole situation. You have the flaws in the Jedi Order, which is talked about in other videos and can talk about it more at length in another time. But understand this. You had all this go, and then eventually you have the Separatist movement under Count Dooku slash Darth Tyrannus after he left the Jedi Order and became a Dark Lord to a degree himself, Sith Lord to a degree himself. And you have the Galactic Civil War, okay, which left scarred and open. A lot of Jedi were killed from that affair, all right, from that conflict. And so you had other Jedi, and you had Palpatine get even more power, more political power, and he became "I am the Senate." Very famous line from Revenge of the Sith, right? And the Jedi Order 66, the prestige of the Jedi, the Republic was, co-opted, was taken over by Palpatine's influence, as well as Sidious had many of the Jedi killed and hunted down, and eventually the fateful battle with Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anakin Skywalker, after his fall to the dark side, he battles Obi-Wan, takes that L, takes that hard L, even though he should have won. He still takes that hard L because of his hubris. Becomes Darth Vader, becomes a great enforcer. Yoda and Obi-Wan go into hiding. A lot of the other Jedi go into hiding or hunted down and killed. So, murdered, if you will. So you have this. You have the Galactic Empire, which, how long did it last? 2 decades? way shorter period than the Republic, which fell within years. If an entity that had existed for a millennium fell in years, what the hell do you think's gonna happen to an entity that existed only 20 years, that is solely under the Emperor? It's all under him. Also, not only that, Darth Vader was killed. The battle, you can fast forward to the Return of the Jedi. The major battles, the incompetence took out many of the greatest leaders in the Galactic Empire. The rebels used guerrilla tactics. Also, you had other former Imperial officers. They left to help the rebels. You see what I'm saying? So you had this whole thing. You had a loss of leadership instruction. When you have no leadership, what do you have? You don't have an empire. You don't have a government. You don't have anything of a system of power. So while, yes, there were galactic remnants left, there was no chain of command that was sustainable at that time. Now, why is this important? People are like, well, there shouldn't have been as many lost Star Destroyers. Why? Because they're powerful machines. If you don't have people conducting proper management, proper leadership, we've seen this time and time again throughout history. Right? You go to the Battle of Thermopylae, one of the greatest battles in human history, casually. I would consider casual top 5 battle. And 300 Spartans, as well as more or less 7,000 other Greek hoplite Greek soldiers, were able to hold off the Persian army for a significant amount of time, so that the Greek brothers could mount a defense. We've seen in the 6 Day War with the Israel military versus 6 other nations who way more populous and very powerful in their own right in the region, and the war took 6 days. People don't understand how warfare works. Collapses don't just take this long period of time. The Western Roman Empire in Rome, after this, for those who don't know, the Roman Empire split between Western and Eastern centuries before the fall of Rome in AD 476. And then to briefly give you a chronology of what happened, Rome became weak. Rome was at its peak and around 186, 186 with Marcus Aurelius. Okay. Rome became weak. There was a lot of internal nonsense, internal politics. There was assassinations that were taking place. There were bloodline issues. There were the fact that people became lazy. There's a hell of a lot of parallels I can get in with the United States and its history with Rome. But anyways, in a well ways, the United States mirrors what happened in Rome. But again, that's another topic for another day. The thing is, it became weak, weak, weak. It relied on mercenary instead of having the Roman army, and it gained mercenaries from the outside. You ever hear of Attila the Hun and those kite? Well, they were bringing those in and using it, and eventually there was the sack of Rome. Okay, now Constantinople, which was formerly Byzantium, which is where you get the name the Byzantine Empire, was still standing. You had the former Eastern Roman Empire became its own thing. Never reached the height of what the Roman Empire became, but it did last twice as long. Okay, it lasted for 1,000 years. Now, the thing is, bro, Rome fell, and impact was quick. It wasn't this long standing, stretched out affair. No. Now, Europe didn't form feudalism until centuries later, but the effect of the quote unquote barbarians, the other tribes, the Germanic tribes, was swift. Because number one, the Roman Empire didn't have that kind of influence anymore. When you have an empire that large, you stretch thin your resources. Another great example, the Hellenistic Empire that Alexander the Great formed because of his conquest, his sons pretty much pissed that away within a relative short amount of time. We've seen empires fall time and time again quickly. It doesn't take time. You don't get these general warlord states. And even if there is a warlord era, it happens very quickly. People are like, it doesn't logically make sense. Look at history. This is exactly what happens. There's a vacuum of power. France. King Louis XVI falls. You have the reign of terror and stuff rise. You have the French Revolution and the reign of terror, and then Napoleon Bonaparte. Quick, quick, quick. Boom, boom, boom. Quick succession. That's how it works. It's not a long period. And so I prefer the canon, the Disney version, if you will, over the Legends continuity. I have no problem if there's a warlord state, but to me that makes things way more convoluted than they need to be. New Republic takes over the core, the core of the galaxy, the core factions or whatever. It rises up its military strength based on what the rebels already had. And their victories allowed them to gain more power. Now, what does that say? They were not militaristic, though, like what Palpatine was bringing to the table. Okay? And so, what do you have here? You have wasted potential. Also, in this version, Luke and his Jedi Order were not aligned with the Republic, the New Republic. You see what I'm saying? So, you didn't have the Jedi backing this time. You had Leia, formerly Princess Leia, now, Commander Leia and her forces. Luke, because of his whole mess with his nephew Ben Solo, went to exile. That's massive. So you have all of this situation, and then you have the rise of the First Order in quick, simplified version. Makes perfect sense to me. I don't like that y'all make me defend Disney, bro. There are issues I have. But this made too much sense to me. I was like, okay. For those who understand politics. Now, for the people who watch my channel, I know y'all are some very intelligent folks. And y'all hear the arguments that I'm proposing. Dude, the events make perfect sense because of Star Wars logic. For those of you who you can at me, you can debate me, we can have this conversation. But I'm just letting y'all know, if you know power, you know the game of politics, of the political game, you know how structures work, it doesn't take long to fall. I've dealt with it in microcosms. I've seen rise of influential situations in schools, which are a hell of a lot more interpersonal and more complex. The same thing with families. It happens in businesses. Okay? These things happen quickly. Look at when stock market's crashing. You can say, well, that's different. Yes, it is. But what I'm saying is when things fall, they are sudden, they're swift. Now, there's a hell of a lot of lead up to it. That's why I went all the way back to before the Phantom Menace. But that's literally how things work. There's a lot of setup. There's a lot of building, which is also why I say the Bay Knight system was a failure. You could say it was successful, bro. It didn't even last. It lasted one generation. That's trash, bro. You had a 1,000 years of setup, a millennium of setup for one generation of success. That's trash, bro. That's waste. That's a waste of time. That's waste. Especially when you compare it to the Jedi Order's, alliance with the old Republic for over 1,000 years. To me, that's a hell of a lot more successful. Even though I disagree with the Jedi and their allegiance to the Republic. Unexpected one, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on the situation. If you want more conversation, my thoughts on subjects like these, on more of an explanation of some of the stuff I was talking about, I will most definitely appeal to that. And till next time, y'all have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Peace. Give me some ideas on certain videos you would like me to do, and I'll see if I can attend to that. For some of the stuff, ladies and gentlemen, I actually have to do research. So I can. It sometimes takes some time, and it depends on how much time I have. So there you go.